All right, today we're going to dive into the magic of animation. We're talking about a journey that starts with simple spinning toys and ends up as a global multi-billion-dollar industry that has, really fundamentally changed the way we see the world. So it all really boils down to this one simple but kind of profound question. How do we trick our brains into believing that a bunch of static images can actually move and feel and even have a personality? Well, the answer is this fascinating blend of art and, believe it or not, science. To get started, our story actually begins way before cinema. We have to go back to the parlors and workshops of the 19th century, where a bunch of ingenious devices first started to capture this illusion of motion. Now, all of these early devices, they really rely on the exact same core principle. You've got the phenakoscope in 1832, the zoetrope, the praxinoscope. They all used a super fast succession of images, with just slight differences between them, to create the illusion of motion. This idea right here, this is the very foundation of animation. And these inventions were amazing, for sure, but they were essentially novelties, parlor tricks. The real leap, the moment this illusion turned into a genuine art form, happened when this principle met a brand new technology, cinematographic film. So, the silent film era. This is where animation really starts to tell stories, develop characters you'd actually remember, and transform itself into a real industry. The silent era saw this really crucial shift from just creating motion to creating personality. In 1914, Winsor McCay's Gertie the Dinosaur wasn't just some moving drawing. She was a character with feelings. A few years later, Felix the Cat comes along and becomes the first true animated superstar. And all of this was really made possible by the invention of cell animation. That's where you draw characters on transparent sheets and lay them over a background. This one innovation totally revolutionized the workflow and for the first time made mass production of cartoons possible. So the industry was growing fast. Things were really moving. But it was about to be completely transformed by one simple yet absolutely game-changing addition. Steamboat Willie. Now, it wasn't the very first cartoon with sound, but you know what? It was the first one to use it brilliantly. It perfectly synchronized all the action with the music. This little short film made Mickey Mouse a global phenomenon and launched Walt Disney's studio into the stratosphere. And just like that, it kicked off what we now call the golden age of American animation. So, animators could now create characters and sync them up with sounds. But how did they make them feel truly alive? Well, the answer is in a set of core principles developed during this golden age designed to tap into our basic understanding of things like physics and emotion. Now, these weren't strict rules so much as they were a grammar, a new language for animated movement. They gave drawings weight, emotion, and, well, life. This also made sure that the work of hundreds of different artists could all come together and feel like it came from a single, unified vision. Let's start with maybe the most important principle of them all, squash and stretch. It's all about changing an object's shape to give it a real sense of mass and flexibility. This is the core idea that stops characters from feeling stiff and robotic. Just look at the difference here. It's so clear. On the left, a bouncing ball without this principle is, well, it's just a rigid circle. It looks stiff. But look at the one on the right. With squash and stretch, the ball actually deforms when it hits the ground. That gives it a tangible sense of energy and life. It suddenly feels real. And beyond squash and stretch, a whole toolkit emerged to breathe life into these drawings. You have timing and spacing. They're fundamental. They don't just dictate the speed of an action, but what that speed means. Is a character hesitant, or are they confident? Then there's slow in and slow out, which just mirrors real-world physics, showing that objects need time to accelerate and decelerate. Arcs make sure movements follow a natural curved path, because, let's be honest, almost nothing in nature moves in a perfectly straight line. And then there's appeal, that special something, the charisma that makes a character, hero or villain, just captivating to watch. Okay, so the art form officially has its own language. Next up, it had to adapt to conquer a brand new medium right in our homes. And at the same time, it truly started to blossom all around the world. When animation moved to television, a big change was necessary. The expensive, super detailed full animation you'd see in a Disney film, that was completely impossible for TV's fast production schedules and tight budgets. So the solution was limited animation, which was pioneered by studios like Hanna-Barbera.
It used way fewer drawings and more stylized movement, and that's what created the distinct look of classics like The Flintstones.
And, it's so important to remember this was not just an American story. Way back in 1926, in Germany, Lotte Reiniger created the oldest surviving animated feature film using these intricate paper cutouts. It's incredible. Then China produced its first feature in 1941, and over in Japan, a powerful and totally distinct style was taking root, one with its own unique visual language and narrative themes that would eventually become a global cultural force. You guessed it, anime. For almost a century, animation meant drawing, plain and simple. But a new tool was about to come along and change the entire industry forever: the computer. This whole digital rebirth, it happened in stages. At first, computers were just used for digital ink and paint. You'd scan hand drawings and then color them more efficiently. But the final leap, the real revolution, was full 3D CGI. Now, entire worlds and characters were being built from the ground up, all inside a virtual space. The big moment was 1995's Toy Story. It proved that audiences didn't just care about the new tech, they connected deeply with the characters, with the story. It showed that all those core principles of animation were universal. They applied just as much to digital puppets as they did to hand-drawn cells. So where has this incredible journey led? To a massive, massive global industry. In 2021, the animation market was valued at an estimated $370 billion. That is a staggering leap from a simple spinning cardboard desk, isn't it? The history of animation really shows this constant evolution, moving from physical toys to hand-drawn cells and then into these digital worlds. And now, with AI and real-time rendering right on the horizon, we're on the cusp of another revolution. So it leaves us with a fascinating question. When we've gone from hand-cranked discs to worlds generated by AI, what will the next chapter in animation story even look like? And who's going to be telling those stories?